is Plymouth.
Our story describes one night in the life of this city.
It tells the story of people like us.
You and me.
Your mother, your sister.
Your brother, your uncle, bus drivers, caretakers, shop assistants.
Teachers, nurses, firemen.
Welders and bricklayers.
Electricians and dentists.
Our story is about you and me.
And our story is about a young woman called Vera.
I was 18 years old in April 1941 and working in the Spooners department store in the centre of town.
In the hair salon.
I loved working there. It was a dream come true.
But in March of 1941, incendiary bombs had destroyed most of Spooner's department store.
However, not to be deterred, staff recovered what stocks they could, and stores reopened in several locations across the city.
Mother and children's work in Tavistock Road.
Men's and boys departments in Old Town Street.
And the hair salon moved to Townsend until Muttley Plain. It was quite exciting, really.
The evening of Monday, the 21st of April 1941, was fine and cloudy.
Perfect weather for accurate night bombing.
But there were still plenty of people out on the street on this lovely spring evening.
People hurrying here and there. Most of them were rushing home when the bombing raids started. Vera! Fancy coming to the cinema with us? It's Sailor 3 at the Odeon. It has Tommy Trinder in it. I love Tommy Trinder.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't go. I volunteered to be an air raid warden. I was told to report here at 6 o'clock.
You haven't, have you? They won't take you. You're far too young. I thought you had to be at least 30 years old.
No, they lowered the age limit because they couldn't get enough people to sign up, so it's 18 now. You should sign up.
Me?
Yeah, go on.
Never. I'd be far too scared to do that. What with all the noise and the screeching of the bombs and the guns firing. I'm surprised your mum has let you volunteer.
Yeah, Mum stopped doing that one. You know how she is with her nerves. But I'm 18 years old now and I want to help out where I can.
Well, good on you, Vera. I've got to go. Film starts in 30 minutes. I don't want to be late.
Okay.
Let's hope you don't have a bombing raid tonight.
Yeah. I hope you enjoy yourself.
Vera? Fancy seeing you here. Hey, you remember me? Doug. Douglas Ackland. We went to primary school together. Miss Holroyd's class. You sat right at the front with that girl. What's her name?
Jenny. Oh yes, I remember him now, all right. He was always trying to steal my coloured pencils.
Ah, it's a bit of fun. Mrs. Holroyd was a right tartar, wasn't she?
What are you doing around here, Doug? I thought you lived in the stone house.
Oh yeah, we did. But just before the war started, we moved to Alma Road.
I haven't seen you around this area.
Babe, I see you every morning on your way to work. You waltz past our house with your head in the air. I'm usually finishing my breakfast, and then I just see you rushing off to work.
I don't like being late. I don't want to get in trouble with the floor supervisor.
It's foolish for you. What are you doing around here?
I volunteered to be an air raid warden. I was told to report here at 6 o'clock.
Snap, so did I. Fancy that.
Are you the two new volunteers for air raid wardens? Names?
I'm Vera. Vera Rundle.
Age?
18 years, sir.
You'll need to serve me, young lady. And you?
Douglas Ackland. Everyone calls me Doug.
Well, I won't be. You don't know old to be an air raid warden. How old are you?
18 years. I'm a student at the technical college.
You do your bit at the front, young man.
They won't take me, sir. I tried, got turned down. Dicky Hart. Former that they tell me, so that's why I'm here.
Right, well, you can do your bit here. This is your air raid post. This is your hut. Number 1F2. I know it doesn't look much, but it's all you're going to get. A table, 2 chairs, 2 camp beds, a telephone, firefighting equipment, rattles of gas warnings, your book of orders. Don't lose that, whatever you do. Telephone numbers, first aid kits, gas masks, water bottles, torches, emergency numbers, and street maps. Now, have you got all that?
Definitely.
And this is your path from Central Park, along Pebble Park Road, along there and over there. You're responsible that all orders given out will be carried out immediately.
Right, sir.
Right, your duty is to ensure that you know everyone living in the area.
Everyone? How bad is that?
You go and visit each house.
Every house.
You need to introduce yourself to everybody and make a list of names. And don't forget to remember important details.
Well, what important details do you mean, sir?
Details like, do they live alone? Do they have a cat or a dog? Are they deaf or handicapped? How many people live in the house in the evening? All those sort of details. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Right, as soon as the siren sound, you're to supervise the situation of blackout, which means
Racing around your area and making sure no lights are visible.
no, there's be no racing and running around, running only in great panic. That's the last of one of these situations. Stupid boy. Now, you walk around the area quickly but calmly. Understood?
Don't worry, I can do that.
If there's no wild border siren, the planes arrive first, then it becomes a little bit more tricky. Right, we'll see you tomorrow then. By then, we should have your uniforms ready. Don't forget, back here, 6 o'clock sharp.
Yes, sir.
On the night of the 21st of April, the German 3rd Air Fleet have mobilised 133 bombers in northern France for night raids against England.
On the night of the 21st of April, 120 of those aircraft were to be used to attack Plymouth.
On the night of the 21st of April, the attack started at exactly 8:39 p.m.
On the night of the 21st of April, within minutes, they had released 10,000 incendiary bombs, which started huge fires right across the whole city centre.
Particular evening, I got round to see my sister Nora. Nora's been having a hard time of it recently. She was always a bit nervous, even as a child. And what with all the recent bombing raids has made it even more anxious. I'm getting quite worried about it.
I can feel my heart palpitating all the time. My nerves are all on edge these days, Doreen.
When I got there, I saw her trying to move a huge wooden table. Nora, you're lucky I popped round. You could have injured yourself trying to move that table by yourself.
Bill's mother gave us that table when we first got married.
Oh, God rest her soul. She was a good woman, was Bill. We used to see her at church every Sunday, didn't we? Always sat in the same pew. And she had a lovely singing voice. She enjoyed singing, didn't she, sis?
I always thought that table was an ugly piece of furniture. I never liked it from day one. But I couldn't refuse it because it would have upset Bill, something terrible. It being his mum's gift to us.
Good old-fashioned table, it seems to me. Oh, it would, I bet.
Well, that's what I thought so too. And that's why I wanted to bring it into the front room. It came to me during that air raid last week.
Oh, Nora, I thought we were all going to die during I was saying my rosary and offering prayers to the Virgin Mary. I must have said my rosary half a dozen times that night. And I promised to go on pilgrimage to Walsingham.
We didn't have time to get to the shelter. So me and Bill and Vera, we had to stay in that little cupboard under the stairs all through that night. Oh, it was so uncomfortable. Smelly too. Sure, there's mice under those stairs.
Oh, you wouldn't get me under there if there was mice under there.
I remember you had mice from when you were children. You would scream your head off at the sight of a mouse.
Perhaps we can go on a pilgrimage together when the war's over, Nora, like we used to. What do you think?
I thought that the whole house would collapse on top of us, and then we'd be trapped under those stairs, and no one would ever find us.
You should come back to church, Nora. Church still offers me a great deal of comfort in these dark times.
And that's when I remembered this cave story. You can get 4 people under there quite comfortably. So this is where Bill, me and Nora are going to shelter from now on. Oh, and Mrs. Netherton, of course, if she wants.
I don't know what happened to Nora. I don't know why she lost her religion.
Prayers to the Virgin Mary are going to help me when there's bombs dropping right left and centre. How long is this race going on? Oh, they're playing havoc with my mind.
Well, prayers help me, and they used to help you, or so you used to say. You were always the first one at Mass on a Sunday, sometimes twice. Where did it all go wrong?
Well, perhaps it hasn't all gone wrong, Doreen. Perhaps it just hasn't. Oh, I don't know. I just don't know what to think. I just don't know where I'm coming and going at the moment. And all this dirt and dust everywhere. It gets into every tiny crack and crevice.
Well, that table isn't going to help you. You need to go down to the shelter like you used to. You'll be better off there.
I'm not leaving this house, sister.
When I got home late that evening, it was clear that Mum and Aunt Doreen had been arguing. So who's going to tell me who brought that dirty old table into the front room?
Your mum said she's going to shelter under there from now on. Have a word with her, dear, and make her see sense. She won't listen to a word I say.
I thought you were on duty tonight, Vera.
Yes, but I don't have my uniform, so the warden sent me home.
Your mum told me you'd volunteered to be in it. I had a daughter. I'm so proud that she volunteered to be in it.
Oh, she'll get herself killed. I've told her. She'll know what will be me do.
She'd be fine, Nora. You should be proud of your daughter.
And your father is away. By watching his words. He's never here when you need him.
Where's Uncle Harry? Is he home yet?
Uncle Harry's working at the dockyards until 9 o'clock. It won't be home till late. But he promised to be back for us girls, so it's just us girls together for now.
Do you mind if I join you again?
Oh, no, of course not, Mrs. Netherton. You come on in now. It's always nice to see you. And the baby.
It's just me and the baby upstairs. I'm not scared being all over the place. Mrs. Netherton was lodging with us at that point. She had one of the upstairs rooms. Mum had found her a few days ago wandering the streets, a baby cradled in her arms. Her house had been firebomb, so she had no belongings, nothing other than the clothes she stood up in, nowhere to stay. But Mum said that she could come and stay with us, at least until things got sorted out.
Lots of people helped out like that. There but for the grace of God.
The gunfire and the bombing that really gets to me.
I'm shaking my belief it hasn't even started yet.
Perhaps there won't be much promise now. Just think, Nora.
Oh, you may be right, Doreen.
I've got a story. Lights in the mood. Do you remember that time when my dad decided to build our air raid shelter in the front room?
You sound like your dad.
Him and his politics.
Well, digging a 4-foot hole in the back garden was not Dad's idea of fun. So he built the air shelter in the front room. That's what he did.
Blooming fool.
Well, Vera, our front room were never a proper front room with chintzy covers and knickknacks, were it?
No. But it was our dining room.
And now it was 4/4 full with a huge corrugated iron monstrosity. Dad thought it fitted in quite nicely. So what persuaded your dad to take it out? No. Not what. Who?
I insisted he removed it immediately. No, it's not that. It had to go.
Then Dad and I spent the best part of one Saturday dismantling the damn thing, and then we had the job of digging a hole in the garden as well.
And after all that fuss, we only ever used that shelter once during an air raid. And that was enough to convince us never to bother with it again. Especially when we learned that a shelter just a few doors down from ours had received a direct hit.
On the night of the 21st of April, aircraft attacking residential areas around Devonport, and then the Royal Naval Dockyard on the 21st of April. Huge fires that the incendiary bombs had already started, illuminating the whole city below, enabling the urban area easily to hit their targets.
On the night of the 21st of April, the attack lasted for 6 hours.
Sandy bombs and 700 rifles bombs.
Whether you were at home or in the public shelters, you couldn't just sit there in silence during the raids. So there was always a lively conversation going on. Folk huddled together, trying to forget what was going on outside.
Did you hear about Mr. and Mrs. Trevi? Did you hear about that? No. You've never guessed what happened last night.
Tittle tattle, you might call it. But anything to try and take their minds off what was going on all around them.
Did you hear about Doris? Doris from Bay. Yes, that's Doris. Oh, I remember Doris when she was a baby, and her mum used to wheel around Victoria Park. She was such a pretty baby. Did you hear she was going to Harry that soldier? She went back to the dance. She must be the same age as you. Didn't you go to school together?
Oh, yes, I remember Doris.
Oh, I think it's in every class.
Oh, not seriously, I hope.
Oh no, a broken leg and a bit of action.
Oh,
Good. That's lucky. The shelter away from the city would see the direct hit on the head.
Oh, no.
Doris's mother's house is bombed.
oh,
And white rice. The chocolate wedding cake. Oh, chocolate. Previously, when the boat had a reception, was completely battered.
Oh,
dear. That's
Oh.
So what's Doris going to do? Well, they decided they were going to go
Yeah.
just for a couple of weeks. And then we're going to get married in the rooms for child's church.
Oh.
So romantic.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Only members. Did that having that big white lady?
Good for them.
See that? We're gonna get through this. We'll make sure of that. Perhaps it was the fact that we were 4 women on our own, unnerved us that night. There we were. The 4 of us crammed under that table all throughout that awful evening. And Mrs. Netherton's baby. But it never made a sound. As the noise of the planes faded into the distance, I heard a voice calling to us from outside.
Hello?
It was a young sailor boy. He couldn't have been much older than me. He was covered in dust and grime, and he had this strange dazed sort of look in his eyes.
Hello, is anyone in there?
Yes, yes. We're safe.
I'm looking for a Mrs. Croft.
Oh, that's me. Why? What is it?
I've just come from a shelter in the playground at College Road School. A bomb landed on the road outside, and when I came out of the shelter, I found a man with a bomb crate badly injured.
How bad is it?
They've taken him back to the shelter and sent for an ambulance. But I went to his pockets to find his identity, and he was called Croft. Harry Croft.
That's my husband.
I tried to go to his address around the corner, but then there was nobody in, and a neighbour said Mrs. Croft might be here at her sister's house.
Oh, God bless us. Can you take me to him?
Have you got any sheets we can take to use as bandages?
Is he in a bad way then?
I'm not sure.
I've got some clean sheets in my room upstairs.
Yes, that's good. I think we might need those later.
It was then that I noticed the sailor boy was shaking and shivering all over. He asked me for a glass of water. Very polite he was, please and thank you to everything. We didn't have any running water, so I got him a glass from the bucket we kept in the kitchen. It was covered in dust and grime that must have settled on it during the bombing raid. He didn't seem to mind though. He drank the whole thing in one gulp, as if he just finished crossing the Sahara Desert. And then, I'm not quite sure how it happened, but the glass just seemed to slip through his hands and smash on the floor.
I'm sorry, I don't know how it happened.
It's fine, don't worry about it. We can clean it up, it's fine.
Sorry.
Vera, you go with Doreen to the shelter. These things always upset me so, and you'll be more used than me.
So, armed with the sheets, the 3 of us set out to find Harry. Auntie Doreen was so brave, and I'll never forget the courage of that young sailor lad. As we approached College Road School, I saw Douglas helping injured people that were waiting the ambulance.
What are you doing down there, Vera?
This young sailor came to tell me that my Uncle Harry's been injured in the raid tonight. Auntie Doreen and I've come looking for him. He's got to be around here somewhere.
Taking the injury for that ambulance. Stretcher?
Excuse me, miss. I must be going now. I need to get back to Devonport. I should have reported to Boss Helm Block hours ago.
Thank you so much for your help. I'm safe.
Is that a relative of yours, Vera?
I never met him before in my life. I don't even know his name. I should have asked for his name, but it's too late. He was a very brave young man, willing to risk his life for a complete stranger.
Ships that are passing the night, eh?
Aunt Doreen was trying to talk to Uncle Harry, but he didn't seem to recognise him.
Harry? Harry, I'm here now. Can you hear me? What have you done to yourself? I'm always telling you to protect yourself, Harry. But don't worry, love. I'll stay with you. I'll come with you in the ambulance.
Sorry, love, we've got 2 people in the ambulance already. We've just not got the room for you and him as well.
Oh,
I would if I could, love. But we need to take the injured to the hospital as soon as we can.
Well, where are you taking him?
We're not quite sure yet, though. It depends on what other casualties we have and which hospital has space.
Okay. We'll look at him in the morning, promise.
Go with him. Harry will be so upset when he wakes up and I'm not there.
I'll help you get back to your house.
But he'll be a lot better in the morning.
The fires raged across the city that night.
What I don't understand is why all these buildings are left to burn to the ground. It's not as though we're short of water. We're surrounded by the stuff. Why don't they use the seawater? There's plenty of that.
Only it was that simple. All the underground water pipes have been destroyed. The problem is getting the water to the fire. But anyway, there aren't enough firefighters or fire engines in Plymouth to fight this kind of destruction.
So buildings are allowed to just burn to the ground.
At one point, it seemed as if the whole of the city was engulfed by flames.
And the whole of Union Street seemed to be on fire.
Stonehouse Barracks and the main naval barracks were both ablaze.
As were parts of Royal William.
And the mainline railway station and 2 trains had burnt out. It seemed as though all one could do was stand and look as the city went on.
Fire and smoke.
Douglas was trying hard to be the gallant Jack. He accompanied Aunt Doreen and me all the way home. Not bombing. It's very kind of him, really. When we got home, I saw that Mum was trying to clean up the mess in the bombing range. And Dad had gotten home safely too. He looked exhausted.
We can't leave the front room looking like this.
Oh, leave it, Mum. We can do it later.
She won't listen to anybody, Vera. I've tried telling her. I told her to leave it and get some sleep.
Door again. That's the second time. I'm too itched to sleep now. I need to try and clean this mess. Oh, I hate this commotion everywhere. I like to be in this place. Like it was before I stand for.
They say Devonport's got the worst of it tonight, Vera. I mean, our street's badly damaged, but down our end, no houses received a direct hit. But you look down there, down the other end, houses are gone completely. Those fascist bastards! Vera, what's the news of Uncle Harry? Where is he now?
But we're going to look for him as soon as he gets light.
So what's that table doing there? I mean, that table should be out the back.
I know, we've been sheltering under it during the rain.
Why? Shelter another, that's not going to be much use.
Well, we didn't have time to get to the shelter. And Lord didn't want to go into that cupboard under the stairs again.
I hope you don't mind me interrupting.
Well, who are you, young man?
This is Douglas. He's been helping us with Harry.
Huh?
Well, a lot of folk have just been leaving the city in the evening. You know, try and get as far away as possible from the bombs. You can get a bus part of the way, or you can hitch a lift in one of the lorries going out of the city. You could always do that.
Well, so where are all these people going?
Roadborough, Yalverton, Plimpton. In fact, Plimpton Grammar School has been opened up as a rest centre. You get a free supper and a free breakfast, and the loan of a thick blanket to sleep under. Or some folk, they just sleep in the back of the lorries.
What are the lorries doing out there?
Well, so many of them have been destroyed, they take them out to Dartmoor each night, keep them safe from the bombing.
Oh, right, so look after the lorries. Oh, yeah, well, what about us? No one seems to care about us.
I've heard about that too. People taking blankets and sleeping out in the malls. Better than staying in the city, bombed to smithereens. People are sleeping in churches and village halls, wherever they can find.
Well, now, this is an outrage. What are the government doing about this? You think they even know what's going on with the poor people of Plymouth? Do they help?
Bill, we don't need one of your lectures now.
The gates in London don't care about the likes of you and me, Dory. You think they know what's happening in Plymouth? You know, Plymouth don't even get mentioned on the national news bulletins. I tell you, it's all been hushed up. Where are our leaders now? Why aren't they down here? See what's happening to the poor?
Now is not the time.
I can't stop thinking about my Harry lying there alone in hospital. It's so good. I have to go and find him. I have to know where he is.
I volunteered to go with Doreen to try and find Harry, but Alvira insisted I stay home with Nora with her nervous disposition. I mean, she wasn't always like this. When we were first married for the war, cheeky little thing. Always wanted fun and adventure.
I'll come with you, Vera, if you want.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, Vera, you start the main hospital at Greenbank. See if they got news of Harry from there.
By April 1941, Plymouth was a city of refugees.
People were refugees in their own city.
Hundreds of folks were homeless, wandering the streets like ghosts.
Their lives and their livelihoods broken beyond repair.
People felt lost and bewildered.
Their homes smashed, their possessions destroyed.
Their food was gone, nowhere to cook and nowhere to wash. They depended on the charity of others.
Those who could stay with family and friends.
But thousands lived from day to day amidst the smoking ruins.
The civic authority advised people to leave the city until the bombing stopped.
While some managed to escape,
But for many, they had nowhere to go
they had no choice
but to try to live among the ruins of their lives.
As we approached Greenbank Hospital, we saw that the city hospital opposite had been bombed. Huge parts of it had been destroyed.
And when we got to Greenbank Hospital, what a sight we saw there.
It was awful. There were stretchers everywhere.
From the reception hall and down the corridors, there were stretchers, people lying on them as far as the eye could see.
But eventually, one of the nurses came to tell us she thought Harry was just down the corridor.
And when I saw him, I didn't recognize him, I hardly recognized him. Harry, it's dawning, love. His hands and face were covered with grit. And Vera, look at his hair. It's covered in dust and debris. Why couldn't somebody have combed his hair? Very proud of his full head of hair, Harry.
Then we saw the ambulance man who had brought Harry to the hospital.
The doctor has only been able to treat his most serious injuries. It just hasn't been the time to see to his face and hands in the circumstances.
Is he going to be all right?
See you with that.
No, he's my uncle.
It's comfortable at the moment. Do you want to treat him?
Please.
The doctor said his body is badly crushed, chest is badly crushed, and his arms and legs badly damaged. I'm afraid they don't know how much of it. Sorry.
What did he say?
He said that they're doing everything that they can for him.
I'll stay. You go, I'll be on.
Is it bad news?
I don't think Uncle Harry's going to survive.
Does your aunt story know?
I don't know how to tell her, and Mum doesn't know either because of how distraught she is at the moment. I just don't know what to do about everything.
Harry lingered on for a few more days, but it wasn't going to be.
We went to the hospital. To visit him. He never gave any sign that he knew us.
His sisters, Ivy and Edna, they came over to see him from Stonehouse. And hitchhiked, there was no transport.
And when Harry died a few days later, we said he died to save us girls. He gave his life for us.
And that was my first encounter with death. And I'll never forget that night until the day I die. Crying under that table, the scene at the hospital. My young sailor boy. All those men and women working around like trying to rescue people, trying to save lives.
On the night of 21st of April in Devonport, the Bath Cowan block was full of sailors sheltering from the bombs, which totally destroyed with a huge loss of life.
I wonder whatever happened to my young sailor boy. I hope that his good deeds saved him after all.
As if this wasn't enough destruction, the following night will be forever etched into the hearts and minds of all Plymouth people.
Near to the centre of the city, in Portland Square,
One of the city's largest underground air raid shelters suffered a direct hit from a high explosive bomb,
72 people were killed in that shelter.
and only 2 people survived.
Meanwhile, holiday resort Torquay, people noticed the fire-red sky over Plymouth as they retired to bed exhausted. Exhausted not from enemy action, but from a surfeit of alcohol, dancing, and wild parties. You see, Torquay during the war had become a playground for the rich evacuees from London. So while the folk in Torquay were dancing the night away, Plymouth was in the process of being destroyed by fire and bombs.
A.P. Twyford, a journalist for the Western Morning News, summed up the mood of Plymouth as the first rays of dawn crept across the city.
After night comes the dawn. Those of us who went through the Plymouth raid will not forget those dawns and the grim pictures which the stricken city presented. On this morning, tragedy stalked with heavy feet. Old wounds were gashed anew. New gaping wounds were opened.
At the morning dawn, everybody would slowly sit up and become aware that
We were still alive.
And when at last the awkward sounded, we would wearily climb out of the shelter.
and then look towards the direction of the city centre. There was eerie glow everywhere because there were fires still raging.
The smoke and a huge red glow from the burning buildings could be seen in the sky from miles away.
Luckily, our street seemed to have survived again.
People started to gather outside.
Would it be alive?
It was noticeable that at such times people didn't say very much.
You all right?
Yes, thank you. You?
Yeah.
Everyone was just stunned.
Tiredness was our worst enemy.
That and an endless struggle to try to find some food.
Plus, of course, the constant battle to conserve water, because it didn't take long for the water mains to be fractured and the gas and electricity to be cut off.
Most kept water in their baths or in buckets to make sure they didn't run out.
And then the endless job of clear up all the damage, broken windows, doors split, dust everywhere.
Now, one Swedish journalist, he described the scene in Plymouth in these words.
The damage to Plymouth after the latest German attacks is undoubtedly greater and more serious than those inflicted on any British town in this war. It is even worse than Coventry. I have seen the bombed areas of Birmingham, London, Coventry and Southampton, but I have never thought that an air attack could wreak such destruction as in the case of Plymouth.
I've decided I'm going to go and stay with Ernie's relatives. Oh, are you sure, Mrs. Neverton? Yes. I can't stand any more of this bombing and destruction. Oh, well, I don't blame you, love. When are you planning on leaving? This afternoon. Right away if I can. I haven't got much to pack. A few clothes for the baby. Most of my possessions were destroyed in the bombings last week. I shall never forget your kindness in taking me in when I had nowhere else to go. Thank you so much for that. I was wondering if someone could help me get to the railway station. Oh, of course, dear. Vera will help you, I'm sure.
We couldn't get into town to get to the train, so I went with her to St. Guido station to catch a train. The little station was absolutely packed with people who either got bombed out or decided they just couldn't take it anymore. Everyone had their belongings tied up in tablecloths and such like. It reminded me of the cinema newsreels the refugees from France done. When a train eventually did come, everyone crammed into it so tightly that it couldn't take anymore, and the rest had to wait for the next train.
I eventually found a space in the very end carriage. And that's all my name on the seat. It's very kind of you. Thank you for your help, Vera. If by any chance my husband Ernie comes looking for me, tell him I've gone to his uncle's place in Polperro.
Do you have an address in Polperro?
Oh, Ernie will know where I am. Not that I've heard anything from my husband in the last 2 months. Last I heard, he was on the ship heading to North Africa. He probably doesn't know about the baby yet.
Oh, that'll be a nice surprise for him when he returns.
Give my love to your mum and the rest of your family.
Or perhaps we'll meet again, someday in the future.
Yes, perhaps. Oh, I hope so, Vera.
We never heard from Mrs. Hamilton again, nor her husband. But I'll never forget that night we spent together, crammed under that table, shaking and shivering, and fearing that any moment might be our last. The next day, Mum, Aunt Doreen and I went to St. Andrew's Church to say a prayer for Harry.
It was Harry's favourite church.
But of course, when we got there, we saw the place within ruins.
It was too dangerous to go inside, so we stood outside, had our heads, and said a quiet prayer for Uncle Harry.
It was then that I noticed a small wooden sign that someone had placed there, with one word roughly written on it. Resurgam. I shall rise again. I think that one word sums up the will and the determination of the people of this city. I shall rise again.
The year was 1941.
April 1941.
Place was Plymouth.
Our story was about the people of Plymouth.
People like you,
And me.
Your mother, your sister.
Your brother, your uncle,
Bus drivers, caretakers, shop assistants.
Teachers, nurses, firemen.
Welders and bricklayers.
electricians and dentists.
Young and old.
That story was about us.
And our story was about a young woman called Vera on the night of the 21st of April 1941.